ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of World Talks here on TVP World, where every word matters. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guests on this next interview. U.S. President Donald Trump has revealed that he has spoken with Vladimir Putin about ending the war in Ukraine, stating that the Russian leader wants to see people stop dying. Trump insists the war never would have happened under his leadership and has hinted at a deal with Ukraine involving rare earth minerals in exchange for security guarantees. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is set to meet Vice President Vance at the Munich Security Conference. What does this all mean for Ukraine's future and the broader geopolitical landscape? Joining us today on TVP World to discuss this is Bohdan Nahaylo, Editor-in-Chief of the Kyiv Post. Hello, sir. Welcome to TVP World.
Good morning, everyone.
So very good to have you again. Now, I want to touch upon this statement that Trump made that Putin wants to see people stop dying. This doesn't really align with the sort of actions Russians are taking on the ground, does it? What's the push for this narrative and what's behind it?
This is rhetoric, hot air. Had Putin not wanted people to die, he wouldn't have launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine almost 3 years ago exactly to the day, or seized Crimea and bits of eastern Ukraine in the Donbass in 2014. Look, I mean, Trump is trying to make it seem as if he's being equal-handed, which is obviously not what the Ukrainians want. Equal-handed with a war criminal, with an aggressive imperialistic state. Anyway, that's the policy that he's decided on. And basically right now, Ukraine is really feeling the squeeze from Washington. It's ironic that the new administration, Trump and his colleagues, are playing hardball not only with Ukraine, but with Europe as well, with NATO. And one wonders, is it playing hardball with Moscow? We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Trump says he's spoken to Putin. Okay, he's spoken to Putin. But what is Putin supposed to give in return for a peace settlement? He's obviously not interested in giving back Ukraine territories it seized. He's interested in grabbing as much land, and that means wealth, minerals, included natural resources that Ukraine has in the eastern part of the country and in the Black Sea region, the oil and the gas reserves. So right now, Ukraine is in a quandary. Remember also that Trump and his administration are also squeezing Ukraine by demanding, in effect, read between the lines, early elections, which is really playing into the hands of Putin. Putin and his colleagues are saying, we don't want to deal with Zelenskyy. He's illegitimate because there have been no new elections in Ukraine. Of course not. There's a war going on. There's martial law. The Ukrainian constitution doesn't allow it. And the Trump administration is seemingly playing along with Putin, trying to placate him by saying, well, we are applying pressure for Ukraine to conduct elections. Is the White House ever talking about the need for democratic elections in Russia itself? Ukraine has had, 6 presidents in the last 30 years? How many presidents has Russia had? But this is forgotten.
Right, like you mentioned, we don't really know what's going on behind the scene as well, what's really within the discussion between Trump and Putin. Is there a more charitable read that perhaps these kind of rhetoric is an off-ramp to Putin to save face if, in fact, Trump wants him to give up more than he is willing to, but perhaps make it so that this doesn't sting as much? Is there a possibility that this could be the situation there?
Of course, there is that possibility, though it's probably in the realm of wishful thinking because we don't know how tough Trump is inclined to be. He wants a quick deal. He promised he'd fix the war in 24 hours. Okay, we're now into weeks, if not months. We've got the 3rd anniversary of, as I've said, of the war coming up on the 24th of February. And he needs to show something. And so far, the Russians aren't particularly playing along. They're not sending any signals that they're prepared to deal. And I think this is frustrating for Trump, who wants to be seen as a macho leader, and I get what I want. What is also disturbing here is not only the pressure on Ukraine. Imagine the America that we knew until now, which defends South Korea, Israel, etc., now is demanding minerals payment, if you want, from Ukraine for continuing to support it, and is really pressuring Europe. I mean, Waltz, the National Security Advisor, has just said in the last 24 hours, we want Europe to take what was the expression, ownership of this war, ownership of this war. What is this rhetoric? Let's break it down. Are we a united Europe with NATO, with America playing a leading role in it, or are we disintegrating and the US under the new administration also grabbing what it can opportunistically from a very difficult situation in Europe?
All right. There's also talks about Trump directly engaging with Putin with potential of sidelining Ukraine in said peace talk. But recently, Trump is saying that he will be calling Zelenskyy this week as well. Are there any speculations on how that dialogue is probably going to look like? And does that ease at least a little bit of this conception that perhaps Ukraine will be sidelined in the discussions?
It doesn't ease matters because Zelenskyy, I think, had hoped that perhaps he would be meeting one-on-one with Trump this week. In fact, what he's ended up is with a meeting with the deputy president, the vice president, Vance, at the Munich Security Conference, which is taking place this weekend, where Zelenskyy is going and Vance is going. Vance has been very outspoken in wanting Ukraine to be cut out of the picture, considering Ukraine's defense of its territory and of democratic values, not America's concern particularly. So it's not a particularly good signal. Of course, Zelenskyy will be doing his best to persuade Vance, and Rubio will be there, the state secretary. So, of course, the dialogue is continuing, but one gets the impression that the pressure is very much on Kyiv to cave in and to give way without any indication of what the quid pro quo might be. Remember, it was America who, I've forgotten the president now, who gave way when there was a chance that Ukraine could be given membership of NATO. America does bear a responsibility. It is one of the co-signatories of the agreement under which Ukraine gave away its nuclear arsenal. The US owes Ukraine something of the security guarantees that it is still showing, regardless of the cost, as regards Taiwan, as regards South Korea, Israel, etc. Why the double standards all of a sudden?
Right, and do you think that this image itself would sort of send some sort of message with the president directly engaging with Russia and have the vice president engage with Ukraine? Even, I think, if they don't have any malice in mind, that in and of itself could perhaps send a message that Ukraine is an afterthought.
Yes, but when has the vice president, let's take even the example of the Biden administration, when has the vice president played a senior role in foreign affairs? No, it's not really the sphere of the vice president. Had it been, say, Waltz or Rubio, with them jointly meeting up with Zelenskyy, and that might still happen, that would be a positive indication. At least we'd have a better idea of where the Americans are coming from at this stage. But look, there's a lot of speculation. Every day we speculate, new statements are made, hints are made, etc. But other than Trump confirming that he's had a telephone chat with Volodya, his former friend, maybe he's still his friend, Vova, Putin, we don't really know anything. And we don't even know if this is a new phone call or is this the one that Trump was talking about weeks ago and that Moscow has until now denied.
All right, so perhaps it's still a little bit too early to start reading the tea leaves, but we'll have to see how the situation develops. Thank you so much for your input and insight, helping us understand this situation, and thanks for being with us on TVP World.
Thank you.
Cheers. And thank you for watching this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, Please stay tuned to TVP World.